Hi everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Debbie. And if you're not subscribed, I would hope you would hit that red subscribe button and hit the bell notification so you're notified of every video I upload. And also, always give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. It would help my channel grow. So today we're going to be doing cheddar breadsticks. We're going to be having some spaghetti for supper tonight, and I'm going to make some cheddar breadsticks, starting the starter dough in my Cuisinart bread machine. It's pretty simple. I've used it for a couple different recipes, and you have to follow the steps that they want you to put the ingredients in order by. The yeast always has to go in last. So to the pan, first we're going to add 3/4 cup of room temperature water. I've had it measured out, so we'll add that. Okay, so to that we're going to add 1/3 cup of olive oil. And then to the water and the olive oil, we're going to add some salt. I did go ahead and measure my salt out. It is 1½ teaspoons. And I was reading somewhere that if you don't put the correct amount of salt, it has a tendency, maybe your bread won't rise correctly, or the density of your bread, it kind of makes it different. And also we're going to add 1/2 teaspoon of sugar. I don't know what 1/2 teaspoon will do. It's not a lot of sugar, but we're putting it in there because it calls for it. And then we're going to be adding 3 cups of bread flour. And I do make them level them off. So there is 1. And 2. Have to be getting some more bread flour. And 3. Okay. And I have never made these before, so cross your fingers, they turn out good. And then to that, we're going to be adding 1 cup of sharp cheddar cheese. I'm going to pour this over the pot, just in case I spill any. Got to get all that good cheddar cheese in there. Okay. And then it calls for, I'm going to do 1/4 teaspoon of paprika. And I barely have any paprika left, but it worked out. And then we're going to be putting in our yeast. And I'm going to make just like a little well in here into the flour where I like to put my yeast. And I am using bread machine yeast. It calls for 2 1/4 teaspoons. There we have 1 and 2. And my teaspoon is dirty, so I'm going to wipe that off so I don't put that into my yeast. And the 1/4 teaspoon. And that's how you make cheddar breadsticks. So now I'm going to put my pan back into here, lock it in place, press start, makes it come on, and I'm going to hit the dough program selection, which is number 8. And as I'm choosing, the numbers are appearing on the screen, and there is 8, and then you just press start. Simple as that. So we were going to let that go, and I'll bring you back when it's almost done, and we'll see how it's progressing. So I just brought you closer just to show you. There is the number 8 to coincide with the dough setting. You just push this until it cycles through what number you need, and then the start button. When you're doing your bread, if you watch my bread video that I made, here you would choose the color of crust you want. It has 3 different settings. I'll let you have a peek in there, see, mixing it up. Ooh, look at all that good cheddar cheese. And better pull my sleeves up. Get ready. We're going to wait for it to beep. Beep. The timer's just going off, and so we're going to take it out. I placed the camera down to where you can see what I'm doing. So it's not focused on me, it's focused on the bread. Take the paddle out. You're going to press the air out of it. I turn this out on just a lightly floured surface. About 10 by 22, it says, which I don't have a ruler or anything, so we're just going to eyeball it. That's what we do when we bake a lot of times. We just eyeball, right? And things usually turn out good. Sometimes they don't turn out good, but most of the time, it always works out. So I'm thinking I have my dough rolled out about the length I want it. And it says, then you're going to cut it into 1/2-inch strips. And I have my pan ready here with parchment paper. So now that we have that rolled out, we're going to cut it into 1/2-inch strips. It says use a pizza cutter. I bought one of these plastic. They're actually probably for like Play-Doh, kids Play-Doh set. I've never used it for Play-Doh. I make homemade rolled out dumplings, and I use this. That way it doesn't cut on my countertops or leave any marks. So it says about a 1/2-inch strip. I'm just going to, again, looks a little bigger than a 1/2-inch, but again, I'm just eyeballing it. Some are going to be bigger than others. And you continue to do that until you have all of your dough cut. Now that we have all of our dough cut, some of it doesn't look like it cut. It says to take the strip and twist it and lay it on your parchment paper. So there we have it twisted. I'm going to lay it there. Just going to kind of push down on the ends once we lay it on the parchment paper so it doesn't untwist, laying them about a 1/2 to 1 inch apart. Let's see what I'm doing. So we're going to go through and twist all of these, get them on my pan, and I will meet you back here. I have them all on the lined baking sheet. covering them with plastic wrap. We're going to let these rest for 30 minutes in a warm area, and then we're going to bake them. It says on 375, with one rack being on the upper position of the oven and one rack being on the lower position. And it says halfway through, switch your baking sheet from one rack to the other. Right before we bake them, I'm going to melt some butter and brush butter on the top. So I'm going to get these over on top of my stove and let them rest for 30 more minutes. I have let them rest for 30 minutes. I'm just brushing some butter on the top. And I went back and reread the recipe, and they were talking about using 2 different pans for these breadsticks if you had 2 different baking sheets. So that's why it said switch in the middle of baking on the racks. So since we just have the one large baking sheet, we're not going to do that. That was in the Cuisinart recipe book. So I think I've got all of the butter. Might as well use it all. Butter makes everything better, right? Okay. So we've got them butter on the top. I'm going to put them in the oven. Okay, I've made some spaghetti for supper, and I've gotten one of the breadsticks here, the cheddar breadsticks. So I broke mine apart. You can really taste the cheddar in there. They didn't rise very much, but they do have a good flavor. Now, one thing I did notice is it called for olive oil. So I do taste olive oil in here. If you like the flavor of olive oil, you can use it, but if you don't, I would probably use regular oil. But it's pretty decent. And I wanted to show you these. I got these off of Amazon. They're bread bags. It says baking is love made edible. So I thought those was cute. Pick those up. So I'm going to get my breadsticks in my bag. And until next time, take care of yourself and each other. Bye.